my job in life is to make sure everybody else is okay. I heard my sister laugh, which is the only reason I think I was ever born.
He was the blue-eyed, soft-spoken king who was on the bedroom walls of millions of teenage girls in the 1970s. But today, at nearly 71, Robby Benson looks completely unrecognizable from his teen idol days. How did this Hollywood golden boy vanish from the spotlight, battle terrifying medical crises, and transform into the man he is today? Let's find out. The shocking return in Severance. You've probably seen Apple TV Plus's hit thriller series, Severance. While it has an amazing cast, one particular cast member stood out to a lot of people for one particular reason. In the second season, viewers meet a clinical character named Dr. Maurer, who works deep within the sterile, unsettling basement of Lumon Industries. Watching this character instantly sends genuine shivers down the spine of anyone watching. But it wasn't because of how scary he was. This particular face was very familiar, yet almost nobody could figure out who it actually was. The harsh, dim lighting of the underground hallways completely hid the identity of the actor playing him. It caused an absolute shock for longtime fans once the truth finally came out. Hidden beneath that clinical coat was none other than Robby Benson, completely unrecognizable to the public. This was a significant shift for the veteran actor, because everyone only remembered the boyish charm that defined his early years. Currently, he rocks silver hair and has an obviously weathered skin texture and a remarkably sharp gaze that commands any person's attention. When everyone figured out who he was, the internet went into a complete frenzy over his performance, especially during a viral, chilling scene with actress Dichen Lachman, where he delivers the cold line, "You'll kill them all." This role was unlike anything Benson had done before. But to truly understand how this legendary face morphed from an innocent teenage pinup into a haunting sci-fi villain, we have to rewind the clock back to a time when Hollywood couldn't get enough of his innocent look. The making of a teen star. Long before Severance, Benson started out as a young boy from Dallas, Texas, who was born into a family that was into show business. His mother was a talented singer, and his father was an accomplished writer. In pursuit of better opportunities, the family relocated to New York City, putting young Robin directly in the center of the entertainment world. By the time he turned 10, he needed a strong identity to kickstart his early child acting career. He decided to adopt his mother's maiden name, officially becoming Robby Benson. In no time, New York directors took notice of his natural charm, and just like that, he was cast in the legendary show Oliver and the King and I. From there, he made his official Broadway debut in the 1970 production of The Rothschilds. With all of these experiences, he learned how to get the right amount of attention to himself, setting the stage for a completely different level of fame. As the decade moved forward, his life transformed in a flash. The entertainment industry fell in love with his appearance, triggering a sudden popularity, making him a household name. He shared newsstand covers with the biggest teen icons of the era, standing shoulder to shoulder with popular superstars like Sean Cassidy, Leif Garrett, and David Cassidy. However, being a popular teen actor was surprisingly a burden he didn't expect, as the reality of being famous for someone that young in the 70s was suffocating. Millions of teenagers became obsessed with his striking dark hair, blue eyes, and gentle demeanor. Overnight, he became a poster boy with his face pinned to bedroom walls across the nation. Yet, Robby Benson refused to remain just another pretty face on a bedroom wall. He was determined to prove he possessed the creative muscle to back up the hype. In 1976, he broke away from his usual roles by taking the lead in the tragic coming-of-age film Ode to Billy Joe. His emotional performance as a troubled young man shocked audiences and also his fans, who were used to seeing him as the charming boy next door. The film became a massive box office hit, instantly establishing him as a serious leading man. Instead of waiting around for studio executives to hand him opportunities, Benson took charge of his own career. When he turned 18, he teamed up with his father, Jerry Siegel, to write a sports script based on his own passion for basketball. The project became the legendary 1977 cinema success, One-on-One, in which Benson starred as the ultimate underdog basketball player. His character completely won over audiences and critics alike. Writing and starring in a hit studio movie at such a young age was a rare achievement for him. Not only was he a pretty boy, he also had the brains and talent to go with it. He kept the momentum going by stepping into different characters that showcased his talents. He was also fortunate to audition for the role of Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars film, which he came incredibly close to landing before it went to Mark Hamill. With the world at his feet, no one could have predicted that the intense craze of his own fame would push him to flee the very city that made him a star. The price of fame. Behind the glamorous movie premieres and screaming crowds was a genuinely terrifying reality that typical people rarely saw. Becoming a teen heartthrob meant his life was no longer his own, and soon the constant attention turned dangerous. There were reports of massive crowds of intense fans routinely camped outside his home day and night, stalking and tracking his every move. The situation eventually escalated far beyond people waiting on the sidewalk. Benson later admitted that obsessive stalkers discovered his private, unlisted addresses. These individuals would force themselves into his apartments and even break through his doors and encroach on his personal space. This constant invasion of privacy forced the young actor to make a tough choice. He knew that staying in Los Angeles or any other major city would affect him in the long run. To live a normal life, he had to walk away from the Hollywood scene completely. Escaping the spotlight also triggered a major creative pivot. Back in California, he was an actor heavily controlled by major movie studios that only wanted him typecast into taking roles that expected him to be the handsome guy. Away from acting, he gained the freedom to reinvent himself, and he soon transitioned into an independent artist, learning how to write, direct, and compose his music. His work did so well that he won an RIAA Gold Records Award for writing the song "We Are Not Alone" on the soundtrack of the 1985 John Hughes film The Breakfast Club. He finally owned his career, even if the public thought he had simply vanished from the face of the earth. Little did the public know he was also trying to outrun a ticking time bomb inside his own chest. Throughout his years starring in high-energy sports movies, he was secretly living with a severe congenital heart defect he was born with. Back when he was a teenager, doctors diagnosed him with a heart murmur caused by a bicuspid aortic valve defect. He managed to live a normal life for years, but the condition eventually caught up to him. By the time he reached his late 20s, he began experiencing terrifying symptoms, including sudden spells of dizziness and completely losing consciousness. He had a very practical reason for keeping this dangerous secret from the world. In Hollywood, movie studios require every lead actor to pass strict medical exams for insurance purposes. Benson knew that if any producer found out about his heart defect, the insurance companies would label him a massive liability. He would have been instantly blackballed from landing future film roles, effectively ending his acting career before it truly blossomed. To keep working, he chose to suffer in silence and carry the immense stress completely on his own. Eventually, his body could no longer hide the strain. During his peak working years, he had his first major heart attack, which led to him having his first major open-heart surgery. This first operation was only the beginning of a harrowing medical timeline that spanned more than 4 decades. Over the course of his adult life, Benson survived a total of 4 separate open-heart procedures. Each surgery required grueling recovery periods and immense physical trauma. During one of the operations, surgeons had to give him a bovine valve transplant, which used tissue from a cow to restore his regular blood flow. His medical struggles reached a dangerous climax in 2010 during a highly complex valve operation. That specific surgery came incredibly close to claiming his life before a miraculous recovery pulled him back from the edge. But his body wasn't the only thing undergoing immense trauma behind closed doors. His creative voice was about to undergo a monstrous transformation that would define Disney history. Disney immortality. In 1990, Disney executives began casting actors for their massive animated project, Beauty and the Beast. They needed someone who could portray a terrifying creature who still possessed a tender, loving soul. When Benson came to audition, the casting team did not know what to expect. On paper, a 70s heartthrob seemed entirely wrong for the role. His regular speaking voice was still very polite and quiet, which made his plan for the character even more surprising to the directors. But as usual, he completely shocked them when he eventually delivered an outstanding performance, especially a booming, gravelly roar that the character was supposed to portray. The recording studio engineers were amazed by this natural ability, as they had originally planned to use expensive digital equipment to alter the voice of the Beast. They quickly realized those machines were unnecessary because Benson's natural growl and incredible emotional range were already flawless. When the movie was finally released in 1991, it quickly became a global phenomenon. It made Hollywood history by becoming the first animated film ever to earn an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. Voicing a Disney prince was only the beginning. Behind the scenes, Benson was quietly reshaping the landscape of 90s entertainment. Transition from acting to directing. As the decade got underway, Benson made a calculated pivot away from the front of the camera and stepped right into the director's chair. He went from being the main face on camera to calling the shots on major network television sets. This career move allowed him to build a massive body of work without relying solely on his physical appearance, giving him total control over his daily routine in the industry. His biggest win during this time was when he landed a spot directing for the hit comedy sitcom Friends. Benson ended up directing 6 iconic episodes of the show during its peak early years. He built a prolific sitcom beyond his legendary set and directed episodes of major primetime hits like Ellen, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Evening Shade, amongst others. Crew members and actors quickly realized that Benson possessed a unique style on set. He earned a reputation as a true actor's director because he spent decades dealing with the intense pressures of stardom himself. He deeply understood the unique vulnerabilities that performers face when the red recording light turns on, and he went out of his way to protect his cast from stressful network demands. By the time he finished his run in network television, Benson had helmed well over 100 individual episodes of primetime entertainment. He managed to dominate the television industry away from the cameras, all while keeping a remarkably low public profile. As he dominated the television airwaves from behind the lens, his personal life was anchored by a legendary rock and roll romance that saved him in more ways than one: Carla DeVito and family life. Benson had a beautiful love story that began on the stage of Joseph Papp's Broadway production of The Pirates of Penzance. There he met Carla DeVito, who was a powerhouse rock singer and talented actress who had famously toured the world. They instantly had a connection that you could even call it love at first sight, and in the blink of an eye, they got married in 1982. In an entertainment industry notorious for volatile breakups and short-lived relationships, these two were an exception. As they've been together for over 40 years, Carla quickly became his ultimate anchor, especially when his health was deteriorating. During his medical crises, she stepped up as his caregiver and his primary medical advocate. Benson has publicly expressed his gratitude for her, openly stating that her relentless love and strength are the exact reasons he survived it all. She protected his privacy, dealt with the hospital staff, and stayed by his side through every agonizing recovery period. Their partnership extended far beyond their home and into unique artistic collaborations. They spent years writing complete stage musicals together and combining their musical talents, which are on full display on Benson's personal YouTube channel. Also, it might come as a surprise to know that the couple have 2 children, and the reason nobody really knows about them is because the couple made a definitive choice to protect them from the industry. They raised their family completely removed from the toxic, hyper-exposed environment of the Hollywood lifestyle culture. They wanted their kids to have a regular childhood, far away from all the negativities that come with fame. With his family secure and his health stabilized, Benson decided to turn his decades of hard-won Hollywood knowledge toward a completely unexpected career, molding the next generation. In a shocking and surprising move, the actor walked away from commercial sets and stepped directly into working as an academic, sharing his industry wisdom with the next generation of creators. He joined the faculties of NYU's Tisch School of the Arts and Indiana University Bloomington, where he taught film production and acting. His approach to teaching surprised many young students who expected a relaxed Hollywood celebrity. From 2013 to 2016, he established himself as a remarkably hands-on educator. He treated his classrooms like professional movie sets, forcing students to write original scripts, handle heavy cameras, and direct active scenes. He believed that the only true way to understand cinema was to experience the chaotic reality of production firsthand. He also made sure that Hollywood egos were completely banned from his classroom. Benson used the real-world scars from his own career to demystify the artificial glamour of fame for these bright-eyed filmmakers. He spoke honestly about the traps of the studio system, the loss of privacy, and the fickle nature of stardom. By stripping away the fantasy of the entertainment industry, he gave his students a practical, grounded education that few other professors could provide. This new career path brought an entirely different level of meaning to his life. He found immense satisfaction in watching his students discover their own creative voices and achieve success on their own terms. For Benson, helping a young artist master a difficult technique felt far more fulfilling than walking down old red carpets or chasing public approval. He was quietly building a legacy that had nothing to do with box office numbers or magazine covers. But academia couldn't completely quiet the artistic urge inside him, prompting him to pick up a pen and bare his soul in his book, Who Stole the Funny? A Novel of Hollywood. This book, published by HarperCollins, pulled back the curtain on the entertainment industry, sharply skewering the backstabbing network executives he had dealt with during his network directing days. He also took a few artistic turns by writing about his own life in a personal memoir titled, I'm Not Dead Yet. In this moving book, he detailed his 4 grueling open-heart surgeries with a rare mix of brutal honesty and laugh-out-loud humor. The intentional choice behind the title carried a defiant message. It was as a direct letter to a Hollywood system that had frequently assumed he was too sick or fragile to handle the pressure of an active movie set. Not stopping with books, he proved his status as a true Renaissance man by breaking into musical theater. He wrote the entire script and composed the complete musical score for a New York production appropriately named Open Heart, which ran at the historic Cherry Lane Theater. He refused to let age, illness, old stereotypes limit his creative expression. Even after surviving these 4 intense operations, he transformed his pain into a purpose. Today, he serves as an active fundraiser and activist for heart research, dedicating his time to helping scientists find better treatments for cardiac defects. This lifetime of survival and constant reinvention perfectly prepared him for the remarkable physical transformation we see today. Having celebrated his milestone 70th birthday on January 21, 2026, he has stepped into his golden years with incredible grace. Seeing him now, he looks nothing like the boy with dark, slick hair teens in the 70s were drooling over. He treats every single wrinkle as a badge of honor earned through decades of hard work and survival. Benson chose to completely reject Hollywood's artificial standards and plastic surgery, opting to age naturally and authentically. Today, he enjoys a deeply contented, low-profile lifestyle far away from the paparazzi. He splits his time between quiet moments with his wife Carla DeVito and taking selective, high-concept acting roles when the right project comes along. He proved that you can survive the ultimate tests of health and fame while entirely rewriting your own script. Which era of Robby Benson surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.